We'll hold the questions for Robert until after we finish. Now, our next speaker, if you looked on your program, was going to be the past president of the American Forage and Grassland Council, a dairy farmer out of Michigan. But he called me a couple weeks ago and said, I've got a conflict business-wise that I just can't change, so I want to make a suggestion to you. Soon as he told me his suggestion, I realized that you and I would be upgrading as a speaker in two ways. One, this speaker's a whole lot better looking than Howard. Number two, I think she's a dynamic lady. And an interesting side effect, I had a meeting up in Michigan several years ago, and she had her baby there, just wasn't many weeks old. And I remember holding that baby, and I still had my lavalier mic on. So I was kind of humming to that baby, and everybody could hear it. So it put everybody else to sleep, but the baby stayed awake. That baby is now here, and he's a big boy. So that's how many years it's been. Join me, and our next topic is on dairy, and welcoming Terry all the way from Michigan, who's going to talk to us about her operation, or her family operation relative to dairy. I'm going to be real careful about putting this on you. It needs to go right up here if you don't mind. All right. Let's see.
All right. Now, I know how sensitive Gary is to time management, and so I'm going to do my best, Gary, and make up for these other guys. No, just kidding. So, good morning, and thanks for having me, and I am Terry Hawbaker. My husband, Rick, and I own and operate a seasonal grass-based dairy in Pewamo, Michigan. We own 120 acres. We rent an additional 115 that we use for some grazing, mostly hay production. And we have, I think you went a slide ahead of me, Gary. How do we get that back? What's that? Where's the thing? Here we go. We need to go back. Oh, you're missing a slide. Oh, okay, well, that's all right. The first slide had my beautiful family on there. We have 5 children, ages 10 to 1. So usually I have a cute picture of them, and that wins me points. We'll have to get that later. So the most important practice for profit on our farm is grazing, the most important thing. As long as it's managed well, as long as it's planned with your grazing plan, rotation, rotation, rotation. Most important thing. Using grasses that are native to your area with some legumes. Ours are seeded purposely, and with the correct stocking rate. Now, dairy is a little different than beef, and for example, we'll put 120 cows on a 3-acre paddock for 24 hours, and then we will rotate to the next one. It's a little bit different scenario with dairy, a little bit different goals, but rotation is important. Next, fertilization, also very important. It is not hard to call someone. They come, they take your soil samples, they'll print them out on pretty little paper in a binder. They'll go over them with you, show you what areas of your farm need work, and then you have lots of options when it comes to providing the nutrients back on your farm. We've used lime, nitrogen. We've used a concentrated group of animals for areas that needed more fertilization. And new this year, we put up a compost bedded pack barn. And so this summer we will have compost from that barn to use, and we're real excited about that. And hopefully that'll help us improve our fertilization on the farm. Next, weed and pest control, including field scouting and clipping. This sounds all real technical. Field scouting is nothing more than when you're out getting the cows up and you see those plants starting to go to head. Okay, that means you should have clipped them. It means it's time to clip. And if you're out on the 4-wheeler and the bull thistle hits you in the head, you should have clipped them a while ago. Okay, this is as technical as it gets. Now, our clipping involves after the cows graze, and we have a high concentration of animals on a small area for a short amount of time. There is not much left to graze after those cows move. So we clip after the cows graze. We're clipping once a year after the spring flush. We only have to clip once a year because after the spring flush is done, our cows can keep up. There isn't extra because we have a planned rotation. We're putting the right number of animals in, the right sized paddock. So we only have to clip once after the spring flush, after the cows graze. Now this is important, and this has been touched on many times this morning, so obviously if you walk away today with one thing, you need to properly harvest your supplemental forage. we want to do the best we can at cutting at the bud stage for quality. The best you can, given your weather and the circumstances that you can't control. We put up high moisture baleage, so we want to wrap at the optimal moisture. For us, that's 40 to 60%. We want to wrap it as soon as possible. Now, if we were perfect, we'd have one of those balers that wrap the bale before it even touched the ground. That's out of our budget. We don't have one of those. However, we just do the best we can with the equipment that we have. And so we own the disc bind. We mow, we rake ourselves. We hire a custom baler. And often we are raking right in front of the baler. And then we move the hay to an inline wrapper that we purchased 3 years ago. And we wrap it as soon as we can. So often, you know, labor is important, but the labor will be my husband and I and our custom baler. So you know, he'll rake, the baler guy will bale, I'll start hauling and wrapping, and as soon as he's done raking, he will haul and wrap. We haul and wrap our own loads just to get it wrapped as soon as possible. So you can spend a whole bunch of money putting up high quality forage. It's important to put up high quality forage, but it's also important not to spend all your profit on your equipment. There has to be balance. You know, at the end of the day, you want money in your pocket. You know, so just do the best you can with what you have. And a lot of that is timing. Get out of that box. We've got to get out of that box. We've been grazing for a long time. And I can't, you know, still we go to these meetings and people are new to grazing. And somehow that's just astounding to me because we've had all this great information. And I feel like I've spoke at so many meetings on our grazing system, but yet it's new to people, and it's for them, it's getting out of their box. Try new varieties. We do turnips. We use brassicas, pasja mostly. My dad has done some kale that worked out real well. In fact, people were so excited about the kale, they'd ask him, you know, when are you putting the cows in? And he'd say, well, next week. And they were over there the day before cutting it with scissors and putting it in Ziploc bags to take home for their salad. So he was the guy that year. But I really encourage you to try new varieties and consider new practices. You know, some of them will work and some of them won't, but you will never find the ones that work if you don't try. Stay up to date by attending educational meetings such as this one. Go to your local meetings, go to national meetings, network with people, attend these seminars so you can continue to improve your farm. That should be within 5 minutes. Thank you.